Alright, so in this first game it's Paladin. I don't really know what Paladin this is. It could be Librum or Pure. And this hand isn't great. We always want to keep Ramp. So I think we're going to keep Lightning Bloom, but we're definitely sending back Thresher. Maybe Guardian Animals. Guardian Animals is kind of the card that this deck works around. So I think keeping it is good, especially with Bloom, because Bloom can activate it on 6. And the Broom is not something we want. Broom is such a good comeback card, though, so it is good to have if we can get it out. Drawing Breath of Dreams is great if we can get a Dragon. There's actually not that many in the deck. It's the 2 Corrupt Dragons and Ysera. And that Sphere of Sapience really just blew my mind, because it's going to be high roll versus high roll. Drawing the Innervate, picking the Innervate up there is really good, because it lets us activate Guardian Animals on 5. But I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting to see Sphere of Sapience at all. I kind of figured that deck has died with Allura, though we're going to take this as we go and hope to high roll the high roll deck. We gotta kind of pass here. We can't just draw a card. We need to try and activate the ramp. While Breath of Dreams is a little more inconsistent than Overgrowth, it does cost less mana, and when it works really well. We also can't trade into this Wand Thief here. Wand Maker, I'm sorry. We need to hopefully get, again, minions on board that's going to deal with this. Them playing the Sand Breath here is kind of interesting. I understand that. I do know that they have Coin in hand because they went second. So maybe they're hoping to get the Allura before that. But we do top deck the Drake, the Dreaming Drake, which lets us draw a card. And there's the Ysera, as well as get the mana. So next turn we can go into Bloom, Guardian Animals. We can also just tempo out the Twilight Runner. And there's a few ways we can do this. We want to be able to do things with our mana over subsequent turns. So we have to kind of play that well enough that we have follow-up. So we're going to tempo out the Twilight Runner here. And the reason is because next turn we can innervate into Guardian Animals, which makes it so we don't need to be overloaded next turn. And actually the play turns out to be really well. You'll see in a few turns why. And tempo here, instead of just relying on high roll, is pretty good. Even if we got Lake Thresher here, it wouldn't guarantee a clear. We still have a 3-4. So putting a minion on board that can draw cards next turn feels a little bit better than just jamming Guardian Animals and being overloaded at 5 next turn with no follow-up, because the only thing we can really do is play Drake, and that doesn't feel as good. I guess we could Drake Broom, but having card draw on the board as well as a Guardian Animals follow-up feels really powerful, and you can even see they're not quite sure what to do here. I have to check to make sure they're squelched, because I don't really love emotes, but all Suranoyo does is say hello. So they're going to end up playing the minion they got off of their weapon swing, which is Toxfin, which does make it awkward, especially if we don't get a Lake Thresher. We will have to trade a minion into the poisonous minion. And we top deck Strongman, which goes really well here with our Guardian Animals. And we get to play Guardian Animals without being overloaded, which is really important, because then we can follow up next turn in some way. We'll do a trade first. I think, in retrospect, that's a bad play, because we don't want to draw any beasts. But we do get a tempo out. I mean, we get to just play Guardian Animals, not really tempo out anything, and recruit the Lake Thresher, which trades really well into the 1-1, which clears with the Divine Shield and the Poisonous minion. And we can also just tempo out the Strongman, because he costs 0 because he's corrupted. They're going to trade into the Strongman, which does tell me they probably do not have Allura, which is great. Turn 6, no Allura, feels awesome. They play the Dragon Tamer, which is not very impactful, and we can just bloom into Survival of the Fittest, which will be lethal. It's a total of 27, which, who knew 27 damage was good? Not me. couldn't be me. So that's going to close out this game very, very well. And we're going to high roll the high roll deck. I did put in the sound before the voiceover. Sounds really good. I really like it. Sounds much better than just silence because I forgot to play with my sound on again. But it doesn't really matter. Next is a Demon Hunter, and we're never really sure what Demon Hunter is. I think you can always kind of assume just based on meta trends that it is OTK Demon Hunter. And if that is the case, we want to play big booty minions and get things on board. Unfortunately, we don't get a dragon with this Breath of Dreams, so we will Nature Studies. We're going to take Guess the Weight because it is card draw. We can draw into something. Right now, this hand isn't very good. And if this is an aggro Demon Hunter, or even like a Soul Demon Hunter, if we can't pop off, we're SOL. But they're taking a very slow time with their turn 1 because I disconnected because my internet just loves the game. And we actually top deck the Drake here, which means we can go into the Breath of Dreams and we draw the second Breath of Dreams, which is really just very good. So with the Breath of Dreams, gets us up to 5 or 6 mana, which is really good for our guardian animals now that it costs 8. So they'll tempo out the Ooze here. I don't know why they didn't swing on turn 1. We also get a Lake Thresher, which, I mean, we could play. We get the Broom so we can combo it next turn with the Lake Thresher, and we'll just push 1 damage face. There's not much else we can do here. We could have guessed the weight. Maybe that was the better play. Guessing the weight does draw us a card, and our damage output doesn't really matter. The pressure we put on matters more. So this double jump is a bit weird, right? Like, that double jump is not in a... will not put the card they just drew in an outcast spot. But we're going to play the Lake Thresher here and get the Broom also on board to clear this. I make a mistake and think about trading to the 3-2 for a second. I'm like, no, that's not the right play. It turns out to be really good because they will play a Soul Cleave here. But the big thing about that was playing the Lake Thresher corrupted our Dreaming Drakes. So now they're bigger. I think they're 5/6s now. And because we're at 7 mana, we can play both of them. And if we trade into the Ooze, the Lake Thresher would be dead here. So it's good that it's not. Oh, top decking Overflow isn't very good. We're just going to continue to put on that pressure of Drakes and push 4 to face. On board right now we have 14, which sets them to 12. We have Guardian Animals as a follow-up. We're in a really good spot. And it's real unless they want to use all their resources of their Moargs and their Lifesteal cards to clear this board, we're going to be fine. They're going to Skull here, which is a little bit scary. We are going to disconnect. I think I was checking some Twitch. I was hanging out in a Twitch chat while I was playing too. But the only way they clear this board is with discounted Moargs and Lifesteal cards. And if they do that, they have to be able to deal with the follow-up of Guardian Animals next turn, which admittedly they don't know we have. But the amount of pressure we have on the board right now, 12 damage and 15 health, is just a lot for them to deal with. And unless they play 2 Moargs and a spell damage minion, they can't clear this very easily. So they end up doing nothing. We realize that after we disconnect. We are going to play the Nature Studies here. Playing Nature Studies allows us to discover a spell and then play the Guardian Animals without messing up our mana curve. None of this is really that good. We're going to take the thing that we're going to end up taking Hidden Oasis. I'm falling on my tongue. I'm sorry. But Hidden Oasis is going to make it so we can just develop a 6/6 if this board gets cleared in any way. But we will develop even more minions. Another 9, 10 on board, which is 21, 25. That is lethal. They don't have a lot of outs here. They are going to play the Eldari Studies to discount an Outcast card and discover one. but admittedly, I don't really think it's going to do too much here. And we're going to see a Skull come down right now, which is just going to have them burn cards. And we do know that if an opponent burns a card, they lose the game, and they realize that too and concede. Guys, I love this deck. 5-0.